Hey everybody, so I got quite a few requests for tutorials on some of the things that I posted in a Facebook group, Positively Papercraft, and so I'm going to do my best to do a tutorial. I've never done a tutorial, so I watched plenty of them, but that don't mean nothing. So anyway, I'll do my best. So I'm going to be going over how I made the planner Notepad book. So some of the things you might need for this that I'm going to use, or that I used, are of course your decorative paper, some chipboard. I use chipboard on a lot of my projects. And of course double-sided tape, whatever sizes you have. If you want to use a tape runner, I'm sure that would work too. I just prefer to use this double-sided tear tape. To me it just sticks a lot better. You'll probably need some glue of some kind. I'm using Reptile craft glue just because I've found that just works a lot better than other craft glues, in my opinion. But use whatever glue y'all have, of course. And this is my own bottle. It doesn't come in this bottle. This bottle's actually it's actually supposed to be used for vape juices, but I don't vape. But I just saw this bottle and I thought, I bet that would be good for glue. So yeah, I found them on Amazon. So yeah, they're actually pretty good so far. You'll need something to cut with. I'm going to be using my finger blade and of course scissors, and a ruler and a bone folder. So yeah, and of course a notepad and a planner. Okay. So, and then whatever you're going to use to decorate and embellish and things like that. I will be using paper from this paper pad I got at Michael's. It is called Dark Botanical, and I can give you a quick flip through. It's really pretty, and I like a lot of the patterns and the darkness of it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be using to make this. It's actually for my manager at work. I made one for a coworker and she really liked it, so I'm going to make her one as well. So first thing I guess I can tell y'all is the measurements of the things that you'll need. The notepad I have is 3 3/4 by 6 3/4. I cut this down myself. This was originally an 8 by 5 notepad, but I cut it down using my paper cutter. I have an industrial paper cutter that I use quite often to cut my chipboard, to cut notepads, everything like that. You can probably use a X-Acto knife or whatever to cut it down. You're just going to need to go a little bit slower, use your ruler to hold it down, things like that. But yeah, I used that industrial paper cutter. It can cut 400 pages at once. It's a little bit overkill, but it works. As far as chipboard, 2 pieces that are 5 by 7. 1 piece for the spine that is 7 by 1/2 inch. And I'm trying to keep things in frame. Sorry if I don't. 1 piece that we're going to use as a topper for the notepad that is 3 3/4 by 2. 1 piece for the outside that is 12 by 8.5. 1 piece for the inside that is 10 1/4 by 6 3/4. 1 piece to cover the planner that is 6 3/4 by 5.5. So what I've done here is I covered the outside with the 2-inch double-sided tape, and I haven't peeled it off yet. And so what we're going to do first is we will take this piece, our 6 3/4 by 5 1/2, and we will do our best to get it lined up on here to cover the outside of this, because I want it to match. Because the pattern that's on here is not the greatest. I mean, it's okay, but I want it to match better with the book that I'm making. So I'm not going to peel off all the way around, because when I set it down I don't want it to stick to my mat. So here is the trickiest part of this whole thing, is lining this up with the edge, so that way you can get a good edge-to-edge covering and it doesn't come out crooked. Because I will tell you, this double-sided tape, I'm sure you all know, once you stick something, it's stuck. So I think that is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it will do. So, and I'm going to trim these little corners. I don't know if I'll trim them or if I'll use my... this is one thing that I started using that saves my life a lot. It's just one of those square nail files, but it's really good to, if you have like just a rough edge or something on your paper, just go like that. See, like that little corner, didn't have to worry about rounding it. I can just do that and problem solved. And then of course I'm going to go over it with some Tim Holtz Distress ink. I'm just going to go around the edges to darken it up, because this paper does have a white core and I just don't want that white edge showing. That's just a personal preference. So once you have your front cover on there, you can then take this and fold it around and get it stuck down on the back. Now I'm not worrying about covering the entire back side, because it's going to be glued down, nobody's going to see it. So don't worry too much about covering the entire back side. In fact, you don't even really have to do this much that I did. You can probably get away with just doing it like 3/4 of an inch of the way. I just cut it that big. That's just what I did. So yeah, so that's honestly probably the hardest part of the whole thing, is just getting that cover lined up and stuck down. You can take your bone folder and just make sure it gets nice and stuck down. Go over the edge, that way it doesn't come up. Go over your back. Sand down your front again, just to make sure that it's good and rounded. And like I said, we'll take our Distress ink and we will just, I don't even use a, what you call it, I don't even know what to call it, a dabber, a stamper, I don't know. I just take the ink pad directly and just put it right straight on there. Okay, so that is done. And if you have a little bit of an overhang, you can just trim that off. It's not the end of the world, which I do have a little bit here, which, like I said, it's no big deal. And if you're worried about, cutting the edge of your planner, you can put like your ruler down to act as a guard. That way you don't ruin the edge. But if you're holding it down like real tight and just run your blade along it, you should be fine. You shouldn't worry about cutting it. It'll be fine. So we will put this to the side because we're done with this for the most part. We'll decorate it and stuff in a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to put the topper on our notepad. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use my 2-inch tape, and I'm going to take a little piece and I'll line it up. Probably should have had this done beforehand. I had my tape on everything, but I know watching me lay tape is probably super entertaining. Maybe I'll edit this out. I doubt it. But y'all can watch me lay tape. Okay. So, take my finger blade and cut, and I'll angle in just a little bit, just a hair. That way I don't have an overhang on the back. I don't have to worry about trimming it. So once that's done, just stick it down, get it nice and stuck. Get that top squared off. And now, and if you don't reach right to the edge with the tape, it's not a big deal. Okay. So, now we'll take our decorative topper with the 3/4 inch side, and we will place it, lining it up as best as we can, like so. Okay, we got that done. Again, you don't need a big piece like this. That's just what I cut. I'd rather have a little bit extra than not enough. And I can always trim it off later, just glue it down, whatever. It's on the back. Again, this is going to be glued down. Nobody's going to see it. So once you have that done, you can peel off the back. Again, I didn't peel it off completely because I didn't want it sticking down to my mat. So get your top stuck down, take your bone folder, and just kind of run it to get it nice and square. And fold over again. Smooth that out. We're going to take our glue, and we're just going to run a little bit back here to get this little extra piece stuck. Get that cleaned up because I don't want it to stick to my notebook pages. So one good thing about reptile glue is that it's a wet glue, obviously, and it sticks to almost everything. And it gives you that wiggle room, that little bit of time to kind of make your adjustments. But then it grips and it's down. Sorry, I didn't mean to bang on the table, but had to emphasize my point. But yeah, once it's down and it's dry, it ain't going nowhere. So that's why I really like it. And I use this because one of the first people that I saw on YouTube doing paper crafting was Posh Paper Lady. And she swore, and still does swear, by reptile glue. So I looked it up, and that was when I hadn't got into paper crafting. I saw her doing something. I was like, huh, I can do that. And now I'm making my own tutorial. So yeah, I really like reptile glue. It's affordable and it works. So this isn't an ad for reptile glue, I promise. Anyway, so our little notepad is done, our topper. I'm using yellow because that's what I had, and you can use white, whatever color you want. Okay, so now one thing I will probably edit out is me putting tape down on my chipboard because it's going to take me a little bit. I probably should have done this off camera, but I will do that and I will be right back. Alright, so I've got my tape laid down on the chipboard pieces, and I'm just making sure that it's nice and stuck. Okay. So we will take our larger 12 by 8.5 piece. Now remember, if you are using a pattern paper that has some kind of design that goes a certain direction, or writing or something that goes a certain direction, you'll want to make sure that you remember which way, before you glue your notepad and everything in, you want to make sure that your things are facing the correct direction, because I have done that many times where I get everything done and I glue my stuff in and everything's ready to go and I'm just like, ha, I'm done. And then I go and close it and everything's upside down. And let's just say I was not a happy crafter. Maybe that's what I should have named my channel, The Happy Crafter. Nah. Oh, by the way, probably should have done this in the beginning of the video. My name is George, and my YouTube channel and my Etsy shop and everything is the Paper Panda Crafts. So, yeah, I probably should have done that at the beginning, but, well, again, first tutorial, bear with me. I get it, panda, bear, anyway, sorry. Yeah, that's me. So anyway, back to this. I'm going to try and make this not too long, I promise. Once you have your tape down, go ahead and peel off your backing. And we will then place our chipboard. And this is medium weight chipboard, by the way. For other projects, I will double this up. And instead of buying heavyweight chipboard, I would just rather buy medium weight, because heavyweight chipboard doesn't come in 12 by 12, at least not that I can find, and it's not as inexpensive. So I'd rather just glue 2 pieces of medium weight chipboard together. So, but this one is just one single piece of medium weight chipboard. Alright, so we will get this stuck down here, and you don't need to leave a huge lip because it almost doesn't look like it'll fit, but it will, I promise. So see what I mean? We got all of our pieces and there's plenty of space. So you'll want to come in about maybe 1/4, maybe 1/2 inch in, and just stick your piece down. And then we will take the tape backing off our spine piece. We will lay this down about, I would say, leave about 1/8 of an inch gap in between the two. You don't want to butt it up right next to the other piece, because then your book won't fold. And if you try to force it, you're going to tear your paper, and you did all that work for nothing. So leave yourself a gap. I'll see if I can, like that. That way it gives your paper room to fold. So we've got that piece stuck down, and I will tear the backing off, or peel the backing off my other chipboard piece. And I get my chipboard off of Amazon. I forgot the brand name of it, but you can usually find it on there. The price fluctuates like crazy for some reason. I've got it for as low as $8 with Amazon Prime free shipping. And I've seen it as expensive as $18. So I wait for it to go on sale, and I'll usually get 1 or 2 packages when I need some, of course. I could say I don't buy things I don't need, but that's a lie. I buy a lot of things that I don't need. But I have intent to use them, and then I just don't sometimes. But that's okay. I will use them eventually. So I've laid down my other piece, again, giving myself about, I would say that's maybe about 1/8 of an inch, somewhere around there. It's not an exact measurement, but just enough of a space for it to fold. Okay, so what you can do is fold your corners up and get that all nice and squared. And we're going to do a miter cut on these corners. So I'm going to use my scissors. You can use your X-Acto knife, whatever you want to use. Now when you do your miter cut, you don't want to do, me personally, I don't do straight across. I will come in and I will kind of curve it like that. And you don't want to come directly to your chipboard. You want to leave a little bit of a gap. In fact, that's probably a little too close, but we'll see. It might be okay. And you want to do that on all four corners later. Now, one thing that I did learn, kind of a little trick, if you're not sure, or if you fold this in and you think that it's going to leave chipboard showing like that, it's not too bad. That's okay. You can check your corners before you tape it down or glue it down, whatever you're going to use. Now let's say this one you definitely saw like a piece of the chipboard showing. You can take a piece that you just trimmed off and kind of glue it down in this corner and then fold around it. And so that way it kind of hides what was showing before. That's just a little trick that I saw, and it has come in handy a few times. So just to let y'all know, if y'all didn't know already. Some of these things y'all might know, because I've only been doing paper crafting for about a year, and so a lot of stuff is new to me, but maybe it's new to you too. So you never know. So anyway, I'm going to use my 2-inch tape. Actually, I'm going to use my 1-inch tape to get my edges stuck down. And this shouldn't take me that long, so I will go ahead and do it on camera. So, how long have y'all been doing paper crafting? Let me know in the comments if you've been doing it for a couple months, if you've been doing it for years, if you do it off and on whenever, if this is your business, let me know. But like I said, I've been doing it for about a year. I try to sell some of my stuff on my Etsy shop. I haven't sold that much because it's hard to get seen on Etsy if you don't sell a whole bunch, and you can't sell a whole bunch if you're not seen. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But I've sold a few things, and I sell quite a few things to my coworkers and friends and things like that, and they seem to really enjoy what I make. So, okay. So I laid my tape down, and you're going to want to peel this up. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. You can use the edge of your X-Acto knife or whatever you have to get it, but sometimes it gives me a little bit of trouble and I can't get it with my fingernail. There we go. Okay, so I will then fold this corner, or this edge, up and get it nice and smooth down. I will fold this edge up because I don't want the corner, just me personally, I don't want to go here, 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 and here, because I don't want the corners to be all over the place. I want them to be uniform. So I will do this side and the other longer side, and then I will do my ends. Again, it's just personal preference. You don't have to do it that way. But if it's something that I'm selling, I want it to look as professional as possible because somebody's paying money for it, So these little ends that are sticking up, you can just take some glue and put a little squirt of glue in there and get it worked down. Whoops. Got some of my paper towels stuck to my tape. That's okay. No one will see that. All right. So that is the outside of our book. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to lay a couple pieces of my larger 2-inch tape down in the center, which again should only take me a couple of minutes, so y'all can watch me do it. Actually, not even a couple minutes, a couple seconds. And I use this little tiny ruler just so I can get a clean cut edge when I pull my tape. Because I don't want to have, I don't know, I just don't like having that jagged edge. It's just me. Probably doesn't bother other people, but it bugs me. And then just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to put an extra piece down the middle of 1/2-inch tape. Just to make sure that there's plenty of grip. Now, I could have put glue down the middle. You could probably get away with not putting anything, but I'd rather just make sure it's really, really down. Okay, so we have our tape down. Again, you want to make sure that if you are using a decorative paper that has writing or a pattern that goes a certain way, and if your pattern and you're doing the same kind of thing with the inside, you want to make sure that they're facing the correct directions. Check, check, and check. So we'll take a little bit of glue and we'll just run it along the outside, making sure to get up into the corners, so we don't want our corners to come up. Okay. Hopefully that was in frame. Hopefully y'all saw that. If not, I do apologize. Alright, so now here comes another kind of tricky part. You want to make sure that you are lined up, and I'm going to bring this closer to me so I can see. Make sure everything is lined up and centered as much as possible, because once you stick it down to that tape, that is it. Okay. And that is good. We'll get that smoothed out. I am going to go around with my napkin. And then I'll go around and smooth it out with my bone folder. And get the glue nice and spread out. Get everything nice and stuck. And get my spine folded down. Make sure I don't have any bubbling. If you do, it's okay. Just give the reptile glue a little bit of time to, or whatever glue, I'm sorry, whatever glue you're using, give it a little bit of time to stick. Okay. And there we go. Now we have our jacket. Everything is nice and glued and taped down. Okay. And now we're going to take our notepad and our little book here. Now if you completely cover this whole thing, now remember you will want to make sure that you do not glue your planner in upside down. Again, I guess that's kind of why I only cover a portion of the back. That way I can easily distinguish what is the back and what is the front. So this is my front. So I'm also going to be using one of these little thingies to stick down in the middle to hold a pen. And it has sticky tape on the back, but I don't think it's the best, so I'll probably put some glue on that too and stick it down. So we'll take our planner, put some glue. You can use tape, whatever you'd like. I'm just going to use my glue and get it nice and stuck. Getting some in my corners, and we will place it down. And if you'll hear a lawnmower in the back, that is my husband deciding to mow the grass while I'm filming. He said he was going to mow the grass, and I was like, can you please do the back first? I'd really I don't want to have a lawnmower in the background of my video, but y'all might hear it. If you do, I'm sorry, but he's making our yard pretty. So, once you have this nice and stuck, you can go in with your bone folder and get the glue nice and spread out. Get it nice and worked into the paper fibers. Get everything nice and stuck. If you have any excess, you can clean it up. One thing you want to make sure of is that you don't put a lot of glue on the edges to where it's going to seep out of the edge and ends up getting stuck to your pages. That's another reason I didn't use glue on the front of this, is because the first time I made one as my prototype, I used glue and it seeped out of the edges and it stuck a bunch of my pages together, and it didn't turn out great. Plus it caused this to kind of warp, and so I had to bend it back, which wasn't super difficult, but you know, man, it's inconvenient. So tape works a lot better for covering this thing. And then sticking it down, of course, you can use glue, but again, make sure that you don't use so much that it ends up seeping out of the edges and it gets stuck to your pages. You want to be able to, you don't want to have to sit there and separate each page and then it tears and it just looks bad. So, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to bang the table. Alright, so now your notepad, same thing. You don't want to put so much glue that you end up sticking your pages together. You just want to make sure that you get your corners, your top, and then just kind of down the sides, corner, bottom. And if you want to make this refillable, by all means, make this refillable. You can make like a little banding that goes around the back and put in here, but only reason I don't is because this isn't a common size notepad that you can buy. I cut this specifically to fit this, to be the same size as this planner over here. So once you get your glue, you'll then stick it down kind of close to the edge. And again, I like using wet glue because it gives you that wiggle room to kind of make your adjustments. And I think that is good. If you have any seepage out the sides, you can wipe it up. And get everything nice and stuck. Then we will take this thing, and then, like I said, it has this little foam backing, which I'm just going to peel that off because, I mean, look how easily it comes off. It was not stuck on there hardly at all. I found these on Amazon. There was like, you got like 100 of them for, I don't even remember, or maybe not 100. I think it was like 50 of them for like $3 or $4. They were not expensive. But go ahead and just find the center of your book on your spine and put a little dollop. And you can use hot glue if you want, or you can use E6000, whatever, to get this stuck down. But I've used reptile glue in the past on these, and it holds beautifully. So it will hold no matter what. So get that stuck down. So we've got that on there, and we are pretty much done. Now we just have to decorate. I hope that ink isn't coming off. It should be okay. If it is, if it's coming off or whatever, you can just take your paper towel and kind of just get any excess ink off. I think it just needs time to dry. So, and on the inside, I think I'm going to put this butterfly right here, because she really loves flowers and she likes dark things and she likes butterflies. So I'm going to put my glue down. Sorry, I keep going out of frame, but I'm not used to worrying about staying in frame. Now, I put a little bit too much glue on that edge. I don't want it seeping out all over the place. So I'm just going to spread it around with my finger. Okay. And I'll get this positioned right here in the middle as best I can. Again, wet glue will give you that wiggle room to get it nice and centered. And there we go, looks good. And that should be dry enough for me to fold it. And then on the outside, I'm going to put this one right here, smack in the middle. So same thing, just going to run a little bit of glue. All over. And these butterflies were some of the cut-aparts that were in that dark botanical paper pad. So this whole thing was made with that paper pad. And I just picked it up at Michael's. For those of y'all that have Michael's craft stores, I just picked it up like last week. So it's fairly new to them because I had never seen it before. So again, make sure that everything's facing the correct direction. And I will get this as centered as possible. And okay, so there we go, nice and centered, or as best as I can get it. And for extra embellishment, I'm going to be using these things for in the corners. You can find these on Amazon. I got mine off of eBay though. Now the only thing about ordering these things off of eBay, because I like to incorporate a lot of metal on my projects. I use these. I use the other kind of book corners, kind of like these things. And I usually get them off of Amazon or eBay. I'm going to glue these things down in the corners with same glue. It might not seem like it will hold, but it will. It'll be fine. You can use hot glue if you are more comfortable using hot glue. You can use E6000, which I have used with these, and it works fine. Because I made some other stuff using like shelf liner, and you know the shelf liner is kind of like plasticky, and while it probably would stick to that shelf liner, I wanted more of a stick a quicker stick. So it would have probably taken a little bit longer. So you'll probably have to play with it and adjust it and get it stuck. And I will tell you, so far this bottle works really well for glue. I had asked, you can post questions in Amazon product pages or whatever, and I had asked, could this be used for glue, and nobody ever got back to me. And as soon as I ordered them, of course, then somebody got back to me. No. And I think it was somebody that works for the company saying, that they're really made for liquid, and that they're not sure if they're very airtight, that they wouldn't recommend it for glue. And I said, well, I will let you guys know because I've already ordered them. So give that a little time to kind of get tacky and stick down. And I will do the same thing on the other side, on the back side. And that'll kind of give those some pressure to get settled. Alright. I know this is so entertaining watching me glue all 4 of these down. But y'all asked for a tutorial. Y'all asked for it. And if y'all couldn't tell, I am from Texas. I say y'all a lot. But I don't think that I have the typical Texas twang like a lot of people in the hill country of Texas do. But I do say y'all a lot. Again, if you want to use hot glue for this, you're more than welcome to. But my hot glue gun takes forever to heat up, and I'm just like, well, it's fine. I will use my reptile glue. Because I've used it. I've used this many times for these things, and it doesn't feel like it will stick when you're adjusting it. You're just like, oh man, that's not gonna hold. But it does. I promise. Just give it a few minutes to set up, and it will hold. I promise. Alright, and get that pushed down a little bit more. And that is it. That is our finished product. So this is my tutorial for my Notepad planner. Has your 2-year 2020-2021 planner. I know that not too many people are planning to do stuff right now, but hopefully later on and next year will be better. And we got a nice little handy notepad and a nice little handy spot to put our pen. So yeah, I hope that my manager likes it, and that's it. And if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment, and tell me what you'd like to see and stuff, and interact with me. So anyway, that is it. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.